I want to talk to you today about some rules that we can live by. Rules that we can live by. You know, rules and principles are good to give us a guidance system for when we face certain situations. We know exactly how we're going to act over a consistent period. If you haven't made up your mind to follow a rule or to follow a principle, then when you're faced with a situation, you're going to act in a way that may be contrary to the way that you wanted to. Why? Because you have not chosen a principle or a rule that you can follow. Here's an example. If you're faced with a challenge of whether you need to be honest at home or at work, and you become dishonest, the reason why you were dishonest is because you never made it a principle or a rule for you to always tell the truth, or at least do your best not to lie. There are many rules that you can live by, and here are some 5 of them that I want to share that we can think about using. The first rule that we can think to live by is the golden rule. The golden rule. This is found in many religions and cultural texts, whereby you should do unto others what you want them to do to you. And this is based on a principle of reciprocity, and there's different ways that you can think about it. For example, the first one is think about, if you're in a situation, what would you want the other person to do for you? If you're in a situation where you need help and you see someone that if you're in a situation where you find someone that needs help and you think, if I was in that situation, would I want them to help me? And if the answer is yes, then you help that person because you are doing unto another person what you would have them do unto you. And then also you think that don't do to another person what you don't want another person to do to you. And then also what you wish upon another person is what you wish upon yourself. So you'll always be acting from a point of empathy where you think, listen, if I see someone being happy, if I see someone being joyous, if I see someone going through a tough time, let me empathize with them. If someone's going through a tough time, let me wish that their situation becomes better. If I see someone becoming prosperous, let me wish that they have more of that, because what you wish on another person is what you're wishing upon yourself. So that is a golden rule. Do unto others what you would have them do unto you. The next rule that we can live by is the 5 by 5 rule. Now this rule is based on the principle that don't sweat the small stuff. This rule states that if something is not going to matter 5 years from now, don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it, because there are other issues, other problems, other challenges that are worthy of your time, your attention, and your problem solving skills and abilities. And it's very easy for us to think in negative terms than in positive terms, and to think, okay, listen, this is a small thing, but I'm going to overemphasize it. I'm going to major on the minor things. And if you use this rule, then when you come across a challenge or something, someone says something about you, you're not going to be that bothered, because you're thinking about the bigger picture, you're thinking about the long term, you're thinking about the problems that actually need your attention, and you're not going to be easily swayed and emotional in certain cases, because you understand that if something is not going to matter 5 years from now, don't spend more than 5 minutes worrying about it. Don't sweat the small stuff. The other rule that we can think about is the 2-minute rule. This is based on the principle of making things easier. Don't make things complex. Take the complex and make them simple. The 2-minute rule states, if you want to start a new habit, or if you want to take on a task or a problem, you should break it down into the easiest step possible. For example, doing something really difficult deters you from it, but if you break it down to 2 minutes, then it becomes easier. Think about it this way. Reading a book before you go to sleep, we're using 2-minute rule, becomes read a page before you go to sleep. Doing yoga becomes take out your yoga mat. Running a marathon becomes put on your running shoes. Studying all night becomes reading and studying 1 page. Doing all your work for the next day turns into read an email. So what this does, it makes something that you think in your mind is complicated and makes it simple. This is a very good strategy because it allows you to have a gateway habit into doing something that is simple. And anyone can meditate for 1 minute, anyone can put on their running shoes, anyone can read one page, and it takes the complexity out of the situation. Many people give up before they even start because it's hard to do. But this principle makes the hard things easier to do and easier to get started. See, the actions that you start from, starting a habit, can be challenging, but the first 2 minutes should be easy. You can take a goal that's major, and you can rank the tasks needed to get that goal done from hard to easy. Think about running a marathon. Running a marathon is exceptionally hard. Running a 5K is still hard. Running a 1K is still moderately difficult. Running for 10 minutes, that's easy. Putting on your running shoes, that's even easier. This is a good strategy for you to be more productive, to get more things done, and for you to surprise yourself by taking those things that are difficult and to start a new habit and breaking them down into the 2-minute rule. The gateway habit should take no less than 2 minutes to do. The next rule that we can think about living by is the 5 a.m. The 5 a.m. This was started by Robin Sharma. This is the thought process started by Robin Sharma that's predicated on the most exceptional people start their day at 5 a.m. and before 5 a.m. So what do? They get up, and for the first hour they engage in exercise, whether it be jogging, running, skipping, lifting weights, doing yoga, so that they get the blood flowing and the endorphins are rushing through the body. The second 20 minutes is they plan their day. They set their goals, they set their intentions, they set their milestones, and they set the direction for the day. The third thing is that they engage in some form of study and reflection. They'll be journaling about their gratitude statements, they'll be journaling about their intentions, or reading some mind improvement material. What this does is it focuses your day and it primes you for you to be far more successful, far more grateful, in a better state, and more certain about what you're going to achieve. And if you do that every single day, little by little becomes a lot, then sooner or later you're going to be as the top performers in the world are. You also have an advantage over those people who wake up later than that, because now you have a 3 to 4 hour advantage over them, and they're still getting revved up to certainty, but you are already certain because you follow the 5 a.m. rule. Next rule that we can live by is the apology rule. The apology rule. A heartfelt apology goes a long way. I'll say that again. A heartfelt apology goes a very long way. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to get things wrong. You're going to offend other people, and you're going to inadvertently or advertently hurt people. It's life, and we have to deal with it. The important thing is for you to be mature enough and grown enough and cognizant enough to understand what I'm doing was wrong, what I did was wrong, and I need to rectify this by making things right and not explaining or making excuses for what your behavior is. A real apology comes in 3 forms, in 3 steps. The first part of the apology is acknowledge what you did wrong and how it affected the other person. Acknowledge what you did wrong and how it affected the other person. Then say, I am sorry. Those 2 words can change the direction of your life, the course of a relationship, and builds more trust when you can say, I am sorry, because you're acknowledging what you did and you want to make things right. The third part of a heartfelt apology is identify what you will do to make sure that this never happens again and what you can do to make things right. When you start applying this in your life, it will change your life. And when you start having this principle in place, this rule in place, and having the expectation of another person, it can change the direction of your relationship, because now you're open to saying that I'm sorry. You admit your mistakes and you know how it affects another person, and you start working to make things right. And this builds trust instead of explaining things away and negotiating with the truth and thinking you can get away with a falsehood. In actual fact, you can't get away with a falsehood. You can't get away with unexplained and undealt with mistakes, because the truth always comes out at the end of the day. So it's better to admit the truth, admit the mistakes, apologize, so that you can learn and grow and build more meaningful relationships. So those are the 5 rules that I wanted to share that we can live by. They are quite solid. They can change your life and make you a better person. And I'll see you in the next video, whichever topic I decide to just randomly talk about.